If you're anything like me, you class your hobby as a labour of love. When you show off your minis at the end of a project, you're on cloud 9. What happens after a year when you've not looked at those minis, or the game system doesn't get you excited at all? This project might as well be a memory in a photo album. Now, you might have come to the same conclusion I have, that it's time for these models to find a new home. But I didn't burn them like a lot of Warhammer fans when Age of Sigmar got released. I mean sell them. My name is Elston, and in this video we're going to try and sell some Warhammer. This is my Samurai Stormcast Eternals army. This was a real passion project of mine. I've played Age of Sigmar a handful of times, but the rules just really didn't click with me. And regardless of whether or not you're an old school Warhammer Fantasy fan or you're full into the new game system, I think we can all agree that the models are absolutely gorgeous. Apart from this thing, who thought this was a good idea? Who wants a half bat, half dragon, half vampire centaur thing? I mean, who wants that? Who? My version is better, by the way, have a look. Now, the aesthetics in a lot of ranges are good, but for us creative types, we look at those ranges and think, okay, maybe we can do a bit better. That's precisely what happened in this army. I took a bunch of Stormcast Eternals and smushed them together with Eastern culture and Japanese samurai oni vibe, and we got these. I used Puppets Wars parts to make these models, so they're basically normal Stormcast Eternals, granted the old type now, mixed with Puppets Wars parts to create this samurai Stormcast awesomeness. And like many of my projects, I spent months just assembling these to get them to the point where I have a big army, because big armies are better than small armies. I also painted them all in one go because I'm some kind of sociopath and I love painting big projects all in one batch. I would say don't ask me why, but I know exactly why, because I really hate inconsistency and my OCD drives me insane. That's why I paint whole projects in one go. This is one of the armies I'm truly proud of because they are unique to me. They are something I created, something with my own unique feel on them. They are something for me. So I'm utterly proud of them. They have a special place in my heart. But they've been sat in the attic for over 12 months now. So as much as I love them, I need some money out of them. Since the world at the moment is determined to take all of my money in any way it can, it's time for these models to find a new home. It's bittersweet selling these models. On the one hand, you get some cash and some space to do a new project. On the other hand, we have to say goodbye to creation, which I think we can all agree is a difficult thing. Before we sell these models, we need to make a decision on how to sell them. There are two platforms in mind, Facebook Marketplace and eBay. Facebook Marketplaces are good because it doesn't have any fees involved with it. However, there may be more scammers there. If we use PayPal and insured postage, hopefully we will mitigate any of those risks and we could sell on Facebook. Point here, it's relatively safely. I would always suggest checking out any potential buyers in case they look like they could be dodgy. Please don't get caught up in some of the scams that I've been caught up in the past. You'll lose money. It's not worth it, so if anyone asks you to do anything dodgy, just walk away. I really do have to emphasize this point on don't get caught out, because don't cheap out on postage, make sure it's insured for the exact value, so if it does go missing, because that does happen, parcels will go missing, make sure it's insured for the value you've sold it at, so that if it does go missing, you can claim that money back. Just be careful, okay? Just be careful, alright? The downside with Facebook Marketplace is the time you have to invest. Facebook is a social media platform, so it's open for anyone to say anything at any time. This means if you list an item, you might get 6 comments with people saying, "Nice paint job, dude!" Or maybe 6 different messages with people saying stuff like, "How much for postage to Japan?" And then when you go through the effort finding out how much postage is to Japan, you tell them, and they go, "It didn't cost that much this year," and then you get into an argument about postage of how much it costs to send something to Japan, and then the person goes, "Nah, I'm not interested," and it's a big old waste of time. Or the good old-fashioned, "Would you be willing to split?" I can't even go there. I can't even go there with that one. I can't do it. For me personally, this is a headache and a half, so I decided to go with the other option. eBay! Now, eBay is a recognized selling platform. However, this does come at a cost, with eBay taking anywhere between 10 and 15% of the sale price, plus whatever additional listing fees that you might have. Some people might not want to do this. However, I believe the exposure level that you will get from eBay will be greater than the exposure you will get of Facebook. They can message you, that's fine, but you don't always have to respond, and there's no obligation. Facebook seems to be a bit more of the haggler's market. Now, there are other selling platforms out there. eBay and Facebook are the only ones that I really know, so I'm not mentioning the others, but stuff like Gumtree, and I'm sure there's other platforms out there are capable of selling. If those are your preferred methods of selling, then use them. Only thing I'm ever going to say is just make sure you're safe and make sure you get the money you deserve. Now, before we sell these models, we need to get some beauty shots. When taking pictures of minis, a lot of people use a light box. However, light boxes are restricted by the size that you can get. If you want a large light box, then that comes a bit of a premium. In theory, you would actually just transition to using a backdrop and then get external lights to light the scenario. So I tailored my new workspace to double up on its functionality. This is my wall of paint. When I'm painting, I can easily see what paints are available and grab them. It's one of my proudest creations, however it does something else. If I take some of these semi-powerful neodymium magnets and then put them in the trays where the paints sit, I can grab some backdrop sheets, find the position and the height that I want, and then use some other magnets to hold them in place. So my massive rack is now a tool to display my beauties. By using my painting lights, which I have 2 of, I can banish most of the shadows and get a clear picture of the models and the paint jobs. However, before we take a picture, we need to decide on what kind of background these models should have and what would work best for selling them. Remember, we're trying to sell them, we're not going for the artistic shot, we're trying to make these clear as possible so that people will want to buy them. This is what you get, please give me your money. Let's have a look at what we've got to work with. I have a whole bunch of polyester backdrops. I'll put a link to where you can purchase them below. I've tried vinyl in the past, but I find out they crease, they fade, they go weird. They're just not built to last. Polyester is a little bit more expensive, but only by a couple of pounds. So I would say if you're going to invest in polyester. It's a much nicer material to work with. Let's check out what might work with the models we're trying to sell. By holding a mini up to each backdrop, I get an idea if this will complement the minis we're trying to sell. Ideally, we want an element of contrast, but we don't want to detract from the models. After selecting the backdrop we want to use, let's clear the deck and get a backdrop in place and get those models ready for the beauty shots. There's probably a whole bunch of photography science on how to display minis correctly, but I haven't been on any photography courses, and I haven't been sponsored by Skillshare yet. So I'm just going with the experience I know. I always like going with the big group shots to start with that shows the army as a whole. These aren't particularly good for selling, but give the potential buyers an idea of the entire army. Now, you didn't ask for this, but I'm gonna give it to you. Here's an assembly montage video. Let's go! Now when it comes to lighting, a lot of people say you should diffuse your lights. But I found if I lower the lights so they're face on, getting rid of all the shadows on the model, then turning the exposure down on the camera, this pretty much does the trick. The Army doesn't photograph very well because you have to try and squeeze all the models in, so you just end up looking like a giant green blob. So what we need to do is break them down into units and get photos of them separately, so if people want to see them in detail, they can. Now I found that my Canon M6 Mark II with Sigma lens was actually hindering me, as it was focusing on smaller parts in great detail but blurring out the rest. The problem is I want potential buyers to see the rest, so I decided to use my phone. If you want quick photos, if you've got a lot to do, I would suggest having a look into this. If you've got a camera and you're willing to put the time and the effort into it, go for it. However, I didn't want to spend all day doing this, so I took my phone out and I got some quick snappy shots that were clear enough that I believe they could sell the models. Now these pictures are to sell, so artsy isn't really what we want to go for. We want clear, defined images. And again, I keep on mentioning that because it's true. If you want to buy something, ideally you want to be able to see what you're purchasing. You don't want some artistic shot where half the model is blurred out and you're thinking, okay, I'm not entirely sure what that part looks like, but this part looks really good. I'm hoping that part looks good, but it might not look good. It gives that element of doubt. We don't want that. We want clear, defined images so people can see it. Now, if they choose not to, then so be it. That's that. But this is what we're going for. Now, with all the photos taken, let's get them listed. And here's where I have to make another big decision. Do I want to sell them as one army, or do I want to sell them separately? Selling them in one big lump has its benefits. One, postage would actually be a little bit cheaper. Instead of having to pay for postage for every single package, you just pay for one that's slightly more expensive. Downside, we can't load as many photos onto them. I know you can pay for extra photos, but still not quite what we want. The other downside is risk. If that parcel goes missing, that's the entirety of the army gone. Now, as I said earlier, we want to mitigate the risks as best we can, so insurance, everything like that, but still, we don't really want to do that if we can. You also have to take into effect how much someone is actually willing to pay for an entire army. Do people have that amount of cash lying around? Are they willing to pay for it? If not, you're closing the market down quite considerably to the people with excess amounts of cash. Are we aiming for them? Ideally, yes, but it can be a little bit of a long slog because they're not always looking. Now, breaking the units down into smaller parts allows people to buy segments of the army. It might be more manageable for their payment to only grab a little bit of something thereafter. That's great. It has a tandem effect on the entire price though. If someone is looking to purchase the entire army, but a couple of other people are looking for just units, it creates a bidding war, and it actually raises the price of the army considerably. Granted, it's not always guaranteed the person will get the entire army. That's just the gamble we're going to have to play. I'm feeling like a gambler, man, so I'm going to run with this. Now, let's address the giant elephant that's in the room. How much do we sell them for? This is up for interpretation, by all means. This is not an easy question to answer, and everyone may have a different answer to this one. Now, I believe I am a good enough painter that I can sell these again for their retail value, their RRP. So this is what you would pay if you were buying them directly from Games Workshop. Now, I didn't pay RRP for these. I bought them in battle boxes from third-party vendors, so I got them at a cheaper rate than that. If I can sell them for RRP, I'm actually making money. I say that, I'm going to correct myself, because I bought loads of Puppets Wars parts and I've added them onto them, not making that much money. In fact, I don't even know if I am making money. However, RRP is where I'm going to aim. How much should you pay for a paint job is up for interpretation. By all means, stick it in the comments below. I'm intrigued to see what you would say about commission painting, or how much you should sell a well-painted model for. I could be greedy and go for more money, more than what I paid for them, which I am doing, but I could be trying to go for even higher. If I go for higher, I start eliminating the possibility of them selling. The chance of them selling reduces massively with the price I increase. The cheaper the price, the greater chance they sell. If they sell for RRP, I'll be happy. If they sell for more, even better. So, going through, finding out how much each squad costs. If there's only half the amount of numbers, I just charge half the RRP. I mean, there's simple logic there, really, right? And then we go through and list them. When listing them on eBay, adding keywords to try and increase the search engine optimization for people looking for them. So, for example, I throw in Warhammer, I throw in Age of Sigmar, I throw Stormcast Eternals. I throw as many words as I can in there, so if anyone's searching for them, they would track these down. Then we go into deciding what pictures to use. When taking pictures, I've taken multiple shots at multiple different angles, so I've got a lot to play with. This is the point where we can throw a little bit of artsy element into it, as in we've taken some artistic shots and we can throw them in there to get some close-ups of models and stuff like that, so people can see a little bit more of it. After choosing the photos, we review the photos and see if they do actually work. If not, we go in and add the other ones we want to add in. Then we make a description as clear as possible. We then add in our posted value, the value we want to start the bidding at, and then we schedule them. Now, I'm sorry to do this to you all. I'm really sorry. I am so sorry. I'm going to be an absolute dick. I'm not going to tell you how much they sold for. The reason being is they will go live listing when this video goes out. So I am sorry, I've been an absolute tool on this one. But don't you worry. I'll put a link below if you want to see. You can follow along for the next 7 days and see how they do. I will report back. If they don't sell, I will make a humiliating video about how they didn't sell. If they did sell, I'll put an update in the next video. I am sorry. This is where I'm gonna love you and I'm gonna leave you. I know it's an anticlimax. I'm sorry. It's a bit of a cliffhanger. I know. I do these things from time to time. It's worth it. Trust me, it's worth it. This is the beginning of my journey of selling Warhammer models. You are free to put in the comments below if this was a big waste of time for you. I appreciate a lot of you will say that. But, for anyone that's intrigued to see how this goes, let me know. If you have any armies of your own, please let me know about them, and if you've sold them or any experiences you've had with selling Warhammer, and any great deals you might have got, or anything great you might have sold it for. I'm going to love you and leave you on this one, because I'm done. Here's some beauty shots of the Stormcast. There's going to be links below for them, so go check it out if you want to see them. If you want to bid on them, that's even better. That's great. But if not, thank you for joining me this day. Till next time, everyone, be good, be safe, love each other. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. I feel like an evil overlord like this. Look at me. Me and my minions. Now it's time to sell them. So, as much as I love them, I'm going to pimp them out and make some money. I've done my safety bit, okay? Done the safety bit. Right? You've all got it now. Just don't be dumb. Okay? Don't be dumb. Alright. Deserve your money. Like.